Hello again, everybody. Welcome into Gamecock Central Radio. Baseball report today coming up with Scott Hood. I'm Emerson Phillips, and the Gamecocks won 5 ball games last week to improve to 15-2. Scott, thanks for joining us today. Welcome in.
Thanks for having me.
Scott, talked about last week, a 7-1 win over Wofford, close win over Furman midweek last week, and then a 3-game sweep of Charleston Southern, a combination of good starting pitching, good bullpen work, and some production at the plate as well for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, Emerson, I thought the story of the week was certainly the Gamecock pitching. I think they did a great job shutting down a very good Charleston Southern offensive attack. You know, Charleston Southern only scored 4 runs in the entire series and was shut out twice, and 3 of those runs came in one inning, came in the 8th inning of the game too. So I think the emergence of guys like Adam Hill and some of these young pitchers, I think have really worked wonders for this pitching staff. And Clark Schmidt has obviously been as good as advertised, but we all thought he'd have a pretty good year. And Brandon Webb, I think, has been a little bit inconsistent at the number 2 starting job, but I thought he pitched well over the weekend. And of course, Hill did a great job. Yesterday with his stint. So, and he's, as a freshman, I think looks to me like he's going to become an all-time Gamecock great the way he's started off his career. So, but to me, the story of the week was the pitching. They only give up 9 runs in 5 games. So you're going to win a lot of games if you can do that. But certainly, as you mentioned, this coming week with the start of SEC play, they're going to be tested over the next couple of months here as they face the SEC.
Right, the Gamecocks will have 5 more games this week, 2 midweek games, and then the SEC series opener coming up this weekend with Arkansas coming into Columbia for 3 games at Founders Park. We'll get to more on that in just a moment. Scott, let's talk about the pitching. You mentioned Clark Schmidt. He was the winning pitcher in Game 1 of this past weekend series, a 9-0 win for the Gamecocks over Charleston Southern, and Schmidt now 4-0 on the year, and he's pitched 24 consecutive scoreless innings, 9 strikeouts, no walks for Clark Schmidt in this 9-0 Gamecock win.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the season stats. He's only allowed 13 hits in 28 in the third innings with 32 strikeouts and only 5 walks. So I think coming into the year, we knew that Schmidt had the potential to put together this type of season. You know, Chad Holbrook raved about Schmidt, the way he performed in the fall and preseason camp. You look at him last year; he came on late last year and did pretty well, and really got thrown into a tough situation last year. After Will Crow got hurt, some other injuries, he got thrown into a weekend starting job and did very well. So, and I think that experience last year really helped him going forward. And I think that, and this year, I think you've seen the benefits of it with Clark. So, if he can continue to pitch like that, South Carolina's got a pretty good Friday night starter on their side, and they certainly would have a shot in any Friday night game against the SEC competition. But obviously, the Gamecocks are going to see the other team's best pitcher too on Friday night. So, right now, I anticipate a lot of low scoring games on Friday night. The way Clark Smith's pitched right now.
All right, Scott, you mentioned Adam Hill as well. He actually won 2 games last week, a predetermined split in that Wofford game early in the week, and then he went 5 1/3 in the win over Charleston Southern on Sunday.
Well, when South Carolina, when Chad Holbrook decided to go with a predetermined split in that Tuesday game, I figured something was up. In fact, I asked Chad about that in the post-game press conference, whether because he only threw 40 pitches and worked 3 innings, whether that was a sort of a signal that South Carolina was planning on using Adam Hill on the weekend. And Chad did not deny it. He didn't give a full committal answer, but he certainly did not deny it. He definitely said they were looking at Adam to pitch on the weekends. So I was not surprised at all when they announced last week before the start of the Charleston Southern series that Adam Hill was going to be the Sunday starter. So he certainly pitched well. He deserved the opportunity. And he did very well with it, the way he pitched yesterday. So, I mean, his stats right now are just off the charts, you know. So he's got a 0.47 ERA. So he's done very well for a freshman. He's handled up his composure on the mound is remarkable for a young pitcher. The way he works his pitches, and he can throw 2 or 3 different pitches for strikes, and really that's really been impressive just about overall how he's done early in his career. So,
All right.
but again, he'll be tested once if he's given one of the starts against Arkansas on this coming weekend. Obviously the SEC is definitely a step up from the teams he's faced. So, but he has faced some good teams. He faced Charleston Southern and the Citadel, and those are two pretty good teams. So. Again, we'll see how he does against SEC competition, but right now, certainly, the early results are promising for Adam Hill.
Okay, and offensively, the Gamecocks scored 28 runs in 5 games last week. John Jones, Alex Destino, and Dom Thompson Williams all hit their 4th home runs of the season, and that ranks them among the leaders in the SEC. So the Gamecocks productive at the plate also.
Yeah, no, certainly that trio of Jones, Thompson, Williams, and Destino have certainly lived up to expectations so far early this season. Don Thompson Williams had a great series against Charleston Southern, hit a couple of home runs, and had 4 RBIs on Friday night, and another home run on Saturday. So I think even Don Thompson Williams has definitely lived up to expectations. He's a guy that Chad Holbrook was talking about even before he stepped on campus last summer. In fact, he's already talking about him hitting in the middle of the order halfway through fall practice. So you knew that Thompson Williams was special in terms of his ability, and the fact he's moved into center field now, I think he's very comfortable playing center field. He started out in left field, but I think right now everything's working for Don Thompson Williams. Certainly everything's working for John Jones too. I mean, the way he's hitting the baseball right now, 426 average, been over 400 for almost the entire year, and he's just abused opposing pitching so far. Every time I look up, I see he's getting another hit. So Jones is off to a great start to the way he's adjusted to Major College Baseball. And of course, Alex Destino, remember, really had a mediocre year last year at the plate, and by his own admission, he said he was overpowered and humbled. In fact, the word he used was humbled by SEC pitching last year. So he knew he had to bounce back, and so far he's bounced back pretty strong. But again, the level of pitching is going to take a step up here this weekend against Arkansas. So we'll see how those 3 do, and as well as the entire offense does against Arkansas.
Right, John Jones, National Player of the Week 2 weeks ago when he reached base in 14 straight at bats or plate appearances. Scott, 5 games this week. Tuesday night game at Fluor Field. The Gamecocks headed back up to Greenville. This time the opponent will be South Carolina Upstate. Then it'll be a home game against Davidson on Wednesday, and the start of SEC play with Arkansas coming to Columbia for 3 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. And we know the SEC is loaded every year. This year's no different.
Absolutely, it's no different. I expect, in fact, Chad Holbrook described the first 3 weekends against Arkansas, Ole Miss, and Vanderbilt as sort of the murderer's row of scheduling. So I think if the Gamecocks can get past these first 3 series and come out of that with about a 500 record, I think they're in pretty good shape to make a decent run here, because certainly the schedule softens up a bit in the second half of the schedule in late April and in May. So if they can hold their own here, these first 3 series against 3 of the best teams in the SEC, all of them are ranked right now in the top 25 in the country. I think that bodes well for the Gamecocks moving forward. But certainly, I'm first going to get past USC Upstate and going to get past Davidson. I think, I'm sort of glad that the Gamecocks are going back to Fluor Field, because maybe they can exercise those demons that they sort of built up with that game against that poor game against Clemson a couple weekends ago, where they were shut out. So obviously the memories right now at Fluor Field are not very good, and hopefully they can go back to Fluor Field on Tuesday night and have a good game and put that Clemson game in the rearview mirror. So USC Upstate has given them trouble in the past, as has Davidson. In fact, Davidson's won a game or 2 against the Gamecocks at Founders Park. So Davidson has a very good baseball program, and they've given the Gamecocks trouble in the past. So we'll see how these 2 weeknight games go, and then after that, get ready for the SEC.
Gamecock Baseball Report. Emerson Phillips with Scott Hood. Scott's a longtime writer for Gamecock Central. Scott, you do a fantastic job. We appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Emerson.
All right, Scott Hood is his name, and I'm Emerson Phillips, and we cover Gamecock Baseball extensively here on GamecockCentral.com. We'll have plenty more Gamecock Baseball information to come in the days and weeks to come. For Scott Hood, I'm Emerson Phillips. Thanks for joining us on Gamecock Central Radio.